With the Capital One Saver Card, you'll earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining, entertainment, and at grocery stores. And for a limited time, new card members can earn a $250 cash bonus after spending $500 on purchases within the first 3 months. So grab a bite, grab a seat, and earn unlimited 3% cash back with the Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/saver for details.
Getting enough protein in the morning isn't easy. You want something that fits your routine and tastes good. That's where Silk Protein comes in. It's a new plant-based protein milk with 13 grams of complete plant protein, plus 3 grams of fiber and 50% less sugar than dairy milk. Pour a glass, blend it into a smoothie, or add it to your coffee for the road. Silk Protein helps provide the nutrients you want more of with a great taste. Shop now for Silk Protein at a store near you.
To get the Crime Writers on After Show right now, go to patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, a single dad turns to robbing banks to save his struggling family. In the end, his actions destroy it. We'll review the podcast, Deep Cover, The Family Man from Pushkin. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and my family man. It's Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Rebecca, I would rob a bank for you.
You better.
That's right. I'd have a better disguise, I think.
I don't think wearing one of those ghillie hats or whatever
Boonie
it is.
hat?
Is
Boonie hat.
It's a good idea.
No, I'm going to go old-fashioned with a mask.
Also with us, private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of The Final Curtain, it's Laura Bricker. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Rebecca.
And finally, it is our captain of all things cynical, author of the City Trilogy, host of Strange Arrivals, and our Patreon Deep Dive Book Club podcast, Toby Ball. Hola, Toby.
Hey, Rebecca.
So, Kevin?
Yes.
I'm very excited about the next edition of Crime Writers On.
Yeah?
What will we be talking about, not on this episode, but in the future?
Yeah, so a week from today, we will be talking about the new podcast from Audible Originals. It's called Dan Taberski's Manifesto.
I hope it stars Dan Taberski.
It does. And there's an exclamation point after Manifesto. So I'm sure this is a high-powered Dan Taberski podcast.
I just want to say, I do feel exceedingly proud that along with Leon Nayfok, Dan Taberski actually emails me when he has a new show coming out because he wants to make sure that he has the best possible chance of us listening to it on the show. And I'm like, Dan, you don't need us.
Yeah, Dan is going to be severely disappointed that Toby will not be around for that review because as Dan Taberski has said, quote, I just want to get a thumbs up from Toby Ball.
Unqualified thumbs up. He just wants a thumbs up without any buts or like, but you know, it was really strong until
running from cops. Didn't I give that an unqualified thumbs up?
Probably. You probably had some complaint about it. You know how you are with Dan.
Yeah.
I know.
You're not good to him. You're not good to him.
I gotta hold him to a high standard. I'll listen to it and send him an email.
So that's your favorite Dan Taberski podcast thus far?
Running from cops?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that one.
Yeah.
But you know.
What's yours?
I think it might be hysterical for me. I think that was one of my top.
Yeah, that was
one
good.
Or top two.
That was good too.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like my qualms with the Richard Simmons thing may have.
They poisoned you?
Well, not poisoned me against him, but it's like the whole Adnan thing making me the captain of all things cynical. Like, I feel like that left an aftertaste.
I see.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Yes.
I love Dan's stuff. I anticipate giving him an unqualified thumbs up.
I mean, he's no Leon Nayfok for you, but whatever.
Yeah.
What about you, Laura? What's your favorite Taberski joint?
I don't know. I feel like I liked the Y2K one. Because I remember working in the newsroom when that was happening. I like all of them. It's like anytime I'm like, oh, and then we often are like, oh, this reminds us of Dan Taberski because somebody is doing something in that same conversational style that makes you want to listen.
Yeah. Mine is The Line.
Yeah.
I love The Line so much because could there be a darker topic? And like you have this guy who's just a master at making everything engaging. And literally, like, he gets the guy to confess to killing the kid at the end of the podcast. It's pretty astonishing. And I really recommend if folks haven't listened to The Line to check that out. So anyway, that's next week, Dan Taberski.
Won't it be a huge disappointment if that podcast sucks? After we just built it. We haven't listened to any of it. We're like, oh my God.
Dan, I apologize in advance for all the thumbs downs we will be giving you for Dan Taberski's manifesto. But congratulations on even getting your name in the podcast title. You're like the James Patterson of podcasting now.
Yeah. He's going to Wang Chung that.
You're like the Stephen King of podcasting. Stephen King's whatever.
Cat's eye.
Yeah, Stephen King's Carrie.
Yeah.
All right. So, Kevin, should we talk about the podcast we are here to talk about now?
Yeah, let's do that.
And it wasn't just the Florissant police. It was the FBI. It was the county police. And I remember one of them saying, "Your dad is in a safe place. You don't have to worry about that. He's just in some trouble." Like, that's literally what they said to me. Like, nothing more than that.
In 2008, teenage twins Elise and Marissa Giammanco were stunned when police said their dad was secretly the prolific bank robber known as the Boonie Hat Bandit. A single father, Keith Giammanco, said their family was constantly on the edge of financial ruin, so he robbed a dozen banks to pay the bills and hold off foreclosure.
It was an all-out onslaught of police cars, helicopters, cars in front of me, cars behind me, blocked in, weapons drawn, and I knew that it was over.
Law enforcement and the public were not sympathetic to his claim that he did it just to support his daughters. With their father behind bars, the twins were left on their own to navigate finances, addiction, homelessness, and their deteriorating relationship. Giammanco came to realize the things he did to save his family were the very things that destroyed it.
We all withhold things in order to protect our children. We all harbor secrets. It's just that some secrets are much bigger than others.
The podcast Deep Cover, The Family Man from Pushkin tells the story of a financially struggling father who turned to a life of crime and how his double life affected him and his daughters. Host Jake Halpern conducts intimate interviews with the Giammancos to discuss the crime spree and explore the long-lasting personal fallout from Keith's actions. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about plot points from Deep Cover, The Family Man. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. So, Toby, what is this podcast? This is a question I was asking myself all through listening to it. What is this podcast? Is it a true crime story? It is a memoir? Is it a memoir? Is it a timeline of things that happened? How would you characterize it?
So it felt to me like a little bit like Weeds, or like, you know, a Showtime, like prestige drama where it's like a dad finds himself with his back up against the wall and he has to like help get his daughters into the private school or whatever. So he's like juggling all these things, decides to rob banks to make it happen. Like that seems like the premise, but the actual what happens doesn't feel like that at all. It's just like kind of a lot, I guess, darker and just, I don't know, like sort of delusional thinking, I think. In a lot of ways, like it's not. It's a pretty dark podcast, to be quite honest. I thought, like the true crime part of it, it's mostly about the effects that the father getting caught had, more than actually like what a typical true crime thing would be, like an investigation or whatever. So I guess it kind of falls more in sort of a family drama kind of thing. You know, the setup felt familiar, but where it kind of goes is sort of darker and to a certain extent, like a little more mundane than I would have guessed.
Yeah. The setup is familiar. I really thought we had heard this story before. And then Kevin reminded me of the thing I was thinking about was a thing we listened to called Hooked, which was about basically a suburban bank robber. I mean, some of the details are even the same, like going to the same bank twice. Or robbing two banks on one day. We heard that happened in that podcast as well. And just sort of the mundanities of how, I don't want to say easy, but how relatively simple it is to pull off a bank robbery, especially like, you know, a while back, like you just walk in, hand them a note, they give you the shit and you walk out. And if you park across the street behind a gas station, you're good to go. But Laura, what do you think this podcast is? And for what it is, do you think it's successful?
Yeah. So I don't think this is like what you're thinking, like a traditional, obviously, true crime podcast. I think this is like family memoir and true crime blended together. But it's taking a story where we would be like, okay, we're going to judge this guy for robbing banks because that was stupid because he thought that was how he was going to pay his mortgage. But it's breaking it into like the family system in an honest way. It's like, I think it's asking the question of like, what is the sentence that the family members of somebody charged with a crime, what sentence do they serve? And how do they rebuild their lives? And those are the other victims of a crime. It's the bank teller, the bank, they're victims. But we often don't think of the family members of the defendants in that same way. And I think this really does a good job. It's slow. I mean, it's slow. It's not something that's like a fast-paced thriller, but it really takes you through these two daughters who take very different paths, how they react. And then I think we'll get into it with Keith himself, but I think it's a family story, but it's a family story of, the effects of a crime that we don't normally think of, told over a very long period of time so that we can really see how this plays out for these girls who are now grown women, and they were almost grown when this happened. And it's really interesting because it's like you have the father who's clearly, he's in prison, but their mother is not a great influence. And it's like, how do these girls survive and who's looking out for them? And so it's not a traditional, like, okay, we're going to whodunit. It's he did it. What are the other unintended consequences of that?
One of the things, Kevin, that I asked myself when I was listening to this podcast is a lot of it hangs on Jake's conversation with Keith, right?
Yeah, and the daughters. But go ahead.
And the daughters,
yes.
But Keith is like the one telling the story about his motivations, about what he did, about X, about Y. And I found myself wondering where it is like a relatively easy thing to, for lack of a better word, kind of vilify the mom for leaving and all that stuff. And like he's the one there and whatever. Like he's also the one who put himself in a shitty financial situation where he had so much debt that he was then, robbing banks. And he's telling the story like I was the hero dad just trying to like provide for my kids. And I found myself wondering if I should be buying that or not. What did you think?
Well, I would disagree slightly with the idea that to this day he's like, I'm a hero for doing this.
That's not exactly what I meant.
Okay,
I'm talking about his characterizations of his motivation.
Yeah, right. I mean, I feel like there was some yada yada yada. Keith today seems to take full responsibility. He's not saying I made bad mistakes. I made bad choices, right? He's saying that, but as far as what his life was like before that, and sort of, we hear like, we're gonna get foreclosed upon and stuff like that. But we also hear that like he'd be peeling $100 bills off and leaving tips at Olive Garden or whatever the hell it was, right? And so I don't know if he was completely candid either with Jake or with himself about what he was doing or what like motivated him to keep going. And they did try to get into, of course I knew that this was wrong and I'm just sort of manifesting it or whatever. As you mentioned, Hooked, and it's sort of another yada yada is like Keith says like he just studied how to rob banks. I'm like, what do you go down to the library and pull out the How to Rob a Bank book by Jake?
Robbing Banks for Dummies?
Robbing Banks for Dummies, and like, and it works so well.
The Cliff's Notes to Robbing Banks?
Yeah. But part of this reminded me of Breaking Bad.
In Walter
White. Well, Walter White, right? He says, I'm selling all this meth to raise money for my family because I have terminal cancer and whatever. And that's the thing. But when you get to the series finale and, he looks at Skylar, his wife, and he just admits, he said, I said I was doing it for my family. No, I was doing it for me, right? Because he had this, not to spoil Breaking Bad for people who haven't seen it.
Statute of limitations is way over
it's like, but he ended up having sort of like this other alter ego. And, it was like he said that he did it for himself. And I just don't know if Keith, when he takes responsibility and proclaims that he made bad choices, I don't know if he really expressed the other reasons that he made those choices.
What do you think, Toby? Because he talks about how he thought robbing banks was going to be, his way out and all that stuff. But what do you think about his thought process? Was he actually taking this stuff seriously, considering consequences? Or is this just a story he tells now to make that version of Keith seem like a less dubious character?
Yeah, I mean, he's got like this kind of new agey outlook where he doesn't think about failure because he doesn't want to manifest it. He's like big into manifesting, which,
very healthy, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the best way to like figure out your criminal enterprise, but yeah, I think there's a lot of sort of retroactive justification for what he was doing, and he kind of like, even when he gets caught, he's like, I shouldn't have been caught. Like, they're taught not to do what that guy who ended up being the person who caught me did.
Are you surprised that this moment has finally happened? Are you surprised that they
Sure. Absolutely. Because I didn't do anything different than I had in any of the other robberies. The only difference was that a bank employee broke bank policy and protocol, and against all law enforcement advice, left the building and followed me out.
He followed me out to my car.
No, you're not supposed to do that.
You're supposed to stay in your office, Mr. Bank Manager. Eat those lollipops.
Yeah, I mean, so the whole thing, I mean, it sounds more like a child kind of trying to justify what he's done. It's like, I didn't think anything bad was going to happen if I got caught. It's like, dude, you've got 2 teenage daughters and they've been through this crazy situation with you and your wife or ex-wife or whatever it is at that point. And, you think that the possibility of you going to jail that doesn't cross your mind about what the consequences of that would be. It either he's downplaying it or he's got sort of like this childlike naivete about his impact on other people.
Yeah. Well, there is this, like, I know this family where there's 2 daughters and they're both adults now. The mother abandoned the family when the daughters were children, obviously had some mental health issues, some drug issues, all that stuff. And the daughters have grown up to lionize their dad. Like, he's like, can do no wrong, would do no wrong. And meanwhile, this is somebody who actually has done quite a bit of wrong, but sort of in contrast to the legend of the mother who couldn't be there, there's just been this like myth built around him. And he robbed banks, and the mother clearly had some serious issues too with substance use and all of that. And there's sort of this challenge, I think, to the 2 daughters, Laura, to tell their story in like a nuanced way. I mean, it would be difficult to just be like, dude, both of my parents fucking sucked. Like, I could imagine myself saying that. Do you feel like they feel pressure to see things in a more nuanced, more holistic way? Or do you think that's actually how they feel?
I think that's how they feel. And I think, that's how Keith to me comes across. Like, he's complex. He's not, I don't think he's all bad. I don't think he's all good. I mean, I think it's like they call him Robin Hood at one point. So it's like he's like a folk hero. And
Who's he giving the money to? He's giving it to himself.
He's giving it to his kids. They are going to private school. They had uniforms and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like all the rest of the poor people.
Yeah. But it's like he's a lot of different things. And I think that's really the story that we are hearing play out through these daughters, who are really kind of the heart of this podcast, because they're trying to reconcile the, version of their dad that they knew with the version of their dad that's the Boonie Hat Bandit.
Just like as you're doing it, it's like, how can you not, as you're robbing the bank, as you're handing the note over to the teller, and it wasn't just one bank. So at one point, are you like, really thinking about those dire consequences?
Just totally aside, did anybody else think that like the mother was like dead and buried in the backyard? I kept thinking she's going to have been murdered. She's going to have been murdered. And when they're like, the police were all outside in the backyard, I'm like, because that's where he buried the mother after she climbed in the window to get the vacuum cleaner.
We've been trained to watch some, to expect some outcomes like that for sure.
But I think with the daughters, I think it presents an interesting question. Like, what does love look like? What does love for your father look like in this situation when he did this? He did this. He's wrong. He robbed a bank. You now have no electricity. You're doing GoFundMes to try to take care of yourself because you also don't have a mother. But at the same time, your father has always been very nurturing. And, Elise and Marissa, have up until that point, they seem like normal childhood until this happens. But, mysterious how their mother sort of goes away. And you see how this plays out for them at different times they go through evolutions. It's like the stages of grief. It's like the stages of acceptance of like what's happening here with this father of ours. And then you see, obviously, the two girls take very different paths. One ends up relying on the other parent, the mother, and also becoming a drug user and a sex worker to get the drugs. So in that context, you're like, okay, so he's a bank robber, but he was getting the money and getting them private school. Now the mother's here, but she's like, well, I know a way you can get some better drugs. I think going through it with them, and I think starting with that scene in the car where they go back to the house they grew up in, there's a lot there, and it's again, like I said before, it's slow, and it's sort of this slow, like their processing of this relationship, and how do they continue, or do they continue to have that relationship with their father?
Kevin, you said this reminded you of a Chris Pine show or movie?
Oh yeah, no. Do you guys remember the movie Hell or High Water?
No. Did we review it?
Yeah. No, we did not review it. But
I do love Chris Pine.
Yeah, it's I think it was from 2015 or 16 or something like that. The idea is that he and his brother, like, they're gonna lose the family ranch, so he robs the banks to stave off foreclosure, like, from those actual banks. And so there was something about that, like, you know, I need the money for a good cause. Now, Chris Pine in the movie, what he did to launder it is he went to a casino, got a whole bunch of chips, and then sat at the bar for an hour, and then went and cashed the chips, and then he got like a nice cashier's check to save the, you know, I like how they did that. I feel like maybe, like, just looking at the video camera and seeing that, like, he wasn't at the poker table might have been the giveaway.
Yeah.
But, you know, there were parts of that kind of reminded me of that. Like, you know, it's like, well, I'm going to rob this bank because I have a great reason to do it. It's a great reason for you to, like, give us money at Patreon.
Yeah, it's like reverse bank robbing.
It's exactly like that.
You're making a deposit.
Yeah. You're not giving us money here. You are supporting the show, and you're getting all sorts of great stuff.
Correct.
For this content.
I feel like we've mischaracterized it a little bit at the start there. It's not like we are robbing you.
No.
You are supporting something that you love, care about, and you're getting a lot in return. So it's really nothing like robbing a bank.
Yeah.
I take that all back.
I am not, like, hiding my hand in my pocket so it looks like I may have a gun.
You're just doing that to hold your nipple.
I'm just pressing on my belly button. Because if you join us, and Toby and Laura are like, where the fuck is this going? Well, to tell you, if you join us at Patreon, you'll get each month more than 20 exclusive podcasts, sometimes up to 25 different episodes. We're just racking off stuff like the Crime Writers on After Show, Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast, which Toby and his guest recently discussed the book Murderland. We have Married with Podcast, the advice show, and we give advice to one listener whose neighbor keeps borrowing shit.
Oh my God, that guy.
And breaking it.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Set a boundary here,
Say
dude.
no.
Say no. And we also have Something's Off, which is Rebecca and Mel's true crime podcast looking at all things that are weird, including the ongoing Karen Reed drama. We have Bricker Scalers, and those folks get another exclusive podcast. It's Laura Bricker's Leave It to Bricker, in which Laura solves mysteries or release mysteries to her in her quaint AF town of Exeter, New Hampshire, including the mysterious goings-on at her condo association.
I'm taking it on. Apparently, I'm the squeaky wheel now because I'm getting some response to some of my things. I think because they want me to stop asking questions.
Hell yeah. You're the turtle boy of your condo is what you are. You're going to be arrested and charged with felonies next.
Yeah, watch your back. Watch your back.
Yeah.
If you join us at the Let's Do What We Do level, you get episodes of Crime Writers on early and ad-free. And if you're a deep diver, you are an official sponsor of Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast. Toby, so when people have finished listening to your discussion of Murderland and they are preparing their beach read so that they can be ready for the next deep dive, what book should they be reading?
It's called The Tragedy of True Crime by John Lennon. And it's spelled just like the guy you think it is.
Is it like John L. Lennon, though? So hold on. Yeah. The publisher's like, okay, hold on, we gotta...
Imagine all the murders.
Yeah, well, that's funny because at the very beginning, it's a guy who's in prison, and he reads some of the... he puts in some of the... headlines from when he got captured and stuff, and it's all like these plays on Beatles tunes like suspect is a nowhere man, or like whatever. It's just like
he is not the walrus. He's a murderer.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good chew.
By
the way, the walrus was Paul.
I know.
Yeah.
Another way to support us is at our Amazon storefront, where you can see some of our favorite things. Rebecca, what are this week's Crime Writers on Amazon recommendations?
Well, Kevin, people have mixed feelings about Amazon, but I like using Amazon for very specific kinds of purchases for a very specific reason, such as when I went down to the Coach store in southern New Hampshire to look for a birthday gift for my mother and my sister. And I watched somebody try to return a purse when I was there. And boy, did they put him through a rigmarole to do it.
Wow. Taking
it out of the stuff, putting it in all his inspections, whatever. I guess. I don't know. People try to return fake stuff when they buy real stuff. I don't know. I learned that you can buy Coach stuff from Coach on Amazon and that the returns are just like returning shit on Amazon in case it doesn't work out. So, bought my mom and my sister a couple Coach bags on Amazon. Highly recommend that kind of platform if you want easy returns in case you bought the wrong gift.
And Toby, what are your listener-inspired Toby Balls deep cut recommendations?
Well, this is something that you're not going to want to return. And that's pickle and bacon flavored candy cane gift set, 2-pack.
Ew.
Bright and bold.
Ew.
Pickle and, in all caps, bacon flavored candy canes. Because why should peppermint have all the fun? $4.99.
I'm going to vomit. That's nasty. We went to a soft serve place last night and they had dill pickle soft serve.
Good God.
Hampton
that
Beach,
is
man.
horrendous.
That's
they have
Hampton.
shootings and pickle soft serve. No good.
For 2 cents less, for $4.97, you can get a funny nose pencil sharpener.
Ooh.
1-pack.
That seems fun.
Just one. You only get one. A nose-shaped pencil sharpener. Insert pencil, crank, shavings emerge from the nose.
I want one of those.
Sure.
I thought it was like you were sticking the pencil up the guy's nose.
That would make more sense. And letting the nose hair.
Back and like the shavings or the mucus or something. I don't know. Whatever. $4.97.
Yeah. Maybe it's a special collector's edition.
Yeah, it could
There
be.
is one where you can stick it up the one side of the nostril and the shavings come out the other side of the nostril.
Oh,
that's the
clever.
overall pick for nose pencil sharpeners. It's called the Art Creativity Nose Pencil Sharpener. This one is the same. The one you picked is the same.
Funny nose pencil. There it is.
Yeah, you stick it up one nostril and the shavings come out the other.
Great gag gift.
Just
Amazing.
as it should. Now we know what we're getting you for Christmas, Tony.
Can't wait.
Remember to shop us first when you go to Amazon. It's amazon.com/shop. /Crime Writers On.
Crime Writers On.
We earn commissions on qualified purchases.
Kevin, before we end the business section, do we have any Patreon patron saints of the week this week?
Our Patreon patron saints are Katie Pope and St. Andre James.
All right.
Bless you.
Katie and St. Andre, thank you so much for supporting this fine podcast. With your contribution on our Patreon, we hope you like it back there in the champagne room of our podcast, getting all the free stuff we can possibly give you. Kevin, thus ends the business section.
Thus ends the business
Let's
section.
go ahead and fade that music out right now.
With the Capital One Saver Card, you'll earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining, entertainment, and at grocery stores. And for a limited time, new card members can earn a $250 cash bonus after spending $500 on purchases within the first 3 months. So grab a bite, grab a seat, and earn unlimited 3% cash back with the Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/saver for details.
So, Kevin, who's the next sponsor for this fine podcast?
Oh, our sponsor is Quince.
Kevin, I'm wearing a Quince dress right now.
I know. Hold on, Nana. Don't get ahead of ourselves. The best summer pieces are the ones you end up wearing on repeat. Comfortable, versatile, and somehow right for almost every occasion. And Quince makes it easy to create a summer wardrobe that you'll love with things like, what is this?
Incredible linen wrap dress. I wear this dress all the time. This button-down, camp dress. I love it.
They've got such amazing European linen products. The shirts that I have. It's great for the summertime. You
Pants
look
I just ordered.
very comfortable, yet elevated. Wait. I mean,
elevated.
But we don't know. Hold on. You just ordered more stuff from Quince?
Did you see the package upstairs? It's a pair of pants.
Oh, that's...
I was European linen pants. I had to try them because they're a new style.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. At this point, though, Quince, please, you must name a whole clothing line after Rebecca. Because she has single-handedly kept several people employed.
Yes.
I think. There at Quince.
So make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/crime.
Crime.
For free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too.
Bonjour, hi.
That's QUINCE.com/crime.
Crime.
For free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
Crime.
What if upgrading your windows and doors didn't mean tightening your budget? Scratch that. What if it meant spending nothing today? For a limited time, Renewal by Andersen is offering no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 18 months on a minimum of 6. That means beautiful, energy-efficient windows and doors while the payments wait. Visit renewalbyandersenhome.com today and see how easy it is to buy now and pay later.
One sunny day, a honeybee was merrily buzzing through an orchard when she stopped to collect nectar from a mystery apple blossom. She passed that pollen along to a Honeycrisp tree, and months later, the sugar bee apple was born. Naturally sweet, with layered notes of caramel, honey, molasses, and the perfect crunch. The world has embraced the sugar bee apple, a pure delight for snacking and baking. Download our new free recipe book and find a store near you at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar bee apples, from bee to you.
So, Toby, you can talk a little bit about how the podcast sort of unravels what happens to Marissa and Elise once their dad gets arrested for robbing banks.
Well, I think they, at least the way it's kind of portrayed, is that they kind of go to the extremes of what they've been. So like Elise, who kind of has her act together, goes to college and is successful and manages to succeed despite all the turmoil. Whereas Marissa just starts partying her ass off. And then it goes from that to like actual addiction. She's living in the house, but there's no power or water. She reunites with her mom, who encourages her in her drug use and then encourages her into sex work to fund the drug use.
If you want to fix your money problem, I have a solution for you. If you want to make easy money, then you have to sleep with these guys. She's like, it's the easiest way to make money quickly.
This was apparently how her mother was getting by.
She's kind of the tragic figure in all this, is that without a responsible parent there being her father, there's no guide rails. Like she just completely kind of falls apart. And, fortunately later beats her addiction and is in a better place now. But, that's really got to be Keith's, what really haunts him is what happened to her. Because Elise, I'm sure had her own issues and stuff, but was able to make like a reasonable life for herself. So you don't get nearly as much of that as you do Marissa's sort of harrowing story.
Yeah. What do you think about those conversations, Laura? Because Jake is a skilled interviewer, I think, and he gets people to really open up. But the daughters, they have hard questions to reconcile with, right?
Right. And I think, Jake is good at having the conversations when he's interviewing somebody feel organic. It feels like he's not pressuring, he's empathetic. He kind of lets things unfold naturally as he's talking to people. And in this situation, you've got these, the girls kind of going through some pretty hard stuff. And I think that style of sitting back allows them to feel comfortable enough to share those details as, we're getting into, like Toby was talking about, the drug use and the sex work and the, how they lived their lives all these years and how they were trying to make sense of like all those, like, where was our mother this whole time? And now we know, because it was like, that was so bizarre how she came to the, window in the middle of the night for the vacuum cleaner. And like I said, the pace was definitely slow in the way, and I've said that like 10 times now, but because it's that type of story. And I think the style of questioning and the way that Jake approaches the interviews is more kind of a look at the cost of the crime to the family. And some of the interviews, I think, do go on a little bit long and, could have been edited down. But at the same time, I don't think that the stakes and like the emotional stakes of this story are necessarily the bank robberies. It's more about the two daughters and rebuilding their life and their identities after discovering that their father was basically leading a double life. And I think that works well in this type of a story.
What do you think, Kevin? Do you think that Jake is the presence that this podcast needs?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's very good throughout. He's not doing a lot of the performative stuff, and we do sort of hear like he's getting lost, or on the way to the house.
Why was he taping that? Why was he taping his drive?
Because you just never know when something crazy might happen.
You never know when you're going to hit a coon in the road.
I pull into this driveway, but I mean, honestly, it just looks like a break in the trees, like a clearing, nothing more, with a cabin at the edge of it. And then I see a shadowy figure emerge from the cabin, waving his hand.
Keith? Holy cow, man. You guys live out here.
It sounded like the Unabomber cabin.
Yeah. It was like his wife is like following him on his little iPhone or whatever.
People follow me all the time.
Yeah, but in a way, this is a very quiet podcast because you're right. It's not a bank robbery procedural where the drama is based on the crime. It is the family drama here. And I think that's exactly where he always was going, by the pacing and by the writing, which is good. Even though I really like his writing, but sometimes it sort of reaches for a more literary or elevated tone.
You like that?
Sometimes it makes it, sometimes it doesn't.
I don't like that.
Right. I mean, sometimes it's a little purple. Okay, I'll grant you that. But I definitely see where he's like trying to focus our attention, and what he's trying to say. The themes are more about family and fatherhood, and is he a good father for doing this? And
is he?
He's not. I mean, obviously not. Like whether his heart was in the right place and he was just super misguided, I don't know. But the idea was that was what the hook for the news story was like. Oh, this guy was robbing banks to help his daughters, right? Which is different. I guess if you interviewed every bank robber and said, why are you doing it?
For the money.
For the money. Yeah, for the money.
I want the money. But he went on like Good Morning America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think he did himself any favors there, because this was the line that he said.
Why did you feel the need to go this far to support them?
Basically to afford them the lifestyle that they've always had, to send them to the school that I was sending them to so they could wear the clothes that they always wore.
Which makes them sound more like they were privileged, as opposed to when he says, like, we were trying not to lose the house. That would have been
the house that I was over leveraged on because of my choices.
Right. Yeah. And it was going to get foreclosed upon, and you could just, see the situation. And so, and they were young, and so they didn't like come off like really great either. He always thought people would be sympathetic because I'm doing this for my kids, which makes me a good guy and not a typical tweaker who's like trying to hold up a bank so that I can score.
Isn't that some delusional like white privilege shit though? Like, I am white, I'm suburban, I just want what you all want. I want an in-ground pool, not an above-ground pool. Yeah. Like, Toby, what do you think of that? What do you think of how he characterized it publicly and then the reaction to it?
Well, I think when we started this conversation, I was like, it sounds like the setup for like some Showtime show or some HBO show. And I can see like Weeds is basically the same, is a similar setup if you've watched Weeds, but it's essentially this woman's husband dies and she doesn't know what she's going to do to raise her kids. So she starts selling marijuana. Mm-hmm. And she's the sympathetic figure, and she's the central figure, and she's very likable and stuff. And I'm sure in his mind, that was kind of what was
That's Mary Louise Parker,
there.
Right?
Yeah.
Ugh. West Wing poisoned me with her, just FYI. It's not her fault.
I don't know.
Worst character on West Wing, like by a lot.
So, sort of like Mary Louise Parker before she was on West Wing. And so, I could see where he thought in his, he's like, well, I'm just like one of these people who are heroes in these shows, but it's a show, right? I mean, it's, Ozark, the guys in Ozark would not be super sympathetic if they were on Good Morning America. It'd be like, no, you're a psychopath. What are you doing? I wasn't surprised that the reaction was bad towards it. But I was, upon reflection, I could think, well, I could see where he kind of talked himself into that being, and also just the way he kind of addressed everything, right? He's just like sort of manifesting, right? Yeah. And keeping positive thoughts. And if I just tell them I was under a lot of pressure, I'm trying to raise two girls, what am I supposed to do?
Just manifest that.
Yeah, so I manifested robbing banks.
It's so white. Honestly, it is.
Yeah,
it's so white.
So it just seemed part and parcel with him just like not quite having a good grip on reality, or in retrospect making it seem that way so his choices seem more understandable and less bad faith or for motives other than this sort of I want to help my kids.
Laura, if you were compartmentalizing and you were your regular self by day, investigator, podcaster, writer, all the things you do, what would be the crime that you are secretly committing on the side to make it all stick together?
Oh, wow. I don't think it would be bank robbery because I don't think I'd be able to do that. But what would my crime be? I think it's hard to compartmentalize. That's the whole thing here.
Yeah.
It would have to be something like stealing something at night out of mailboxes that people didn't. That people wouldn't
keep going.
That people wouldn't know you were doing at that time. I don't know. But I think that's the thing about this whole story. Like what I was thinking about is like, this is like a story about this man who manages to compartmentalize. I'm a dad by day and a bank robber by afternoon. And I go rob a bank and then I go to my kids' activities at the school. How did anybody, like his family just was like, oh yeah, we noticed he had these like $100 bills. But it's like to be able to carry out I always talk about double lives on here, but to carry out a double life like that, but in a family dynamic, certain shows where you have the parents that are like spies or whatever, and like nobody knows. They just think, oh, mom and dad go off to the office every day. Yeah, but if anyone has ideas for what crimes I could commit, I'd be glad to investigate that.
It made me think of the movie Say Anything with Ione Skye, who plays her father. He was the dad on Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
John Maloney?
Anyway.
It's not John Mulaney.
No, it's not John Mulaney.
John Mahoney, I think.
Yeah, Mahoney. He owns a nursing home, and he's embezzling and stealing money from the people in order to provide a good life for his daughter and so forth. And there's this great scene where she confronts him after she's questioned by the FBI, and he's like, I put food in their mouths. I kept them safe. And she was like, you stole from them. And it's a whole thing. And that's what this reminded me of. It was very reminiscent of that for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Doing the wrong thing for the right reason.
Well, allegedly. It's still the wrong thing.
It's still the wrong thing.
Everybody does the wrong thing for the right reason. Yeah. Show me somebody who, who do you want to characterize? Let's look at some more like typical crimes we see on the news. People join gangs for a feeling of belonging and escape and like brotherhood, right? Like people sell drugs
safety.
For money. Yeah. Like everybody does the wrong thing for the right reason, except for that guy who created that fucking fake software. That was the wrong thing for the wrong reason. Jesus.
From last week, are you talking about? Yeah.
Side note, what was the ad in this that Malcolm Gladwell was reading where he said he didn't use the product? Oh, it was Apple Card. He's like, I don't use that part. It was the high yield savings account. He's like, I don't use that, but it sure sounds great.
Hello, I'm Ozempic. And I'm other GLP-1s, kind of like him. Hey, are you shaking a maraca?
No, I'm shaking the pill version of Ozempic, which no one should ever do except in ads like this.
A nice disclaimer.
Hey, thanks. Ask your doctor about which FDA-approved uses of the Ozempic pen or pill may be right for you. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and learn more about Ozempic semaglutide tablets, 9 milligrams, and Ozempic semaglutide injection, 2 milligrams.
There's a pill version of Ozempic.
One sunny day, a honeybee was merrily buzzing through an orchard when she stopped to collect nectar from a mystery apple blossom. She passed that pollen along to a Honeycrisp tree, and months later, the sugar bee apple was born. Naturally sweet, with layered notes of caramel, honey, molasses, and the perfect crunch. The world has embraced the sugar bee apple, a pure delight for snacking and baking. Download our new free recipe book and find a store near you at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar Bee apples, from bee to you.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well.
Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
All right, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out the podcast Deep Cover, The Family Man from Pushkin. Laura Bricker, thumbs up or thumbs down for Deep Cover, The Family Man?
I'm going to go mild thumbs up on this. I say that because the pacing for me was a little bit slow at times. And, I had to kind of say, okay, this is not a quick moving true crime narrative that we're expecting. This is more of a family story. And this is a story, I think, that's really asking a question of family members of somebody that committed a crime of, what is the sentence that children of offenders serve, and how do they reconcile their life? And I don't think that's something we talk about as often when we review true crime stories as we should sometimes, because it's like we talk, there's obviously like the victims that you think of that are much more noticeable, but then there's the victims that are the family members that are left to cope with what does love look like in a case where our family member has done something that is wrong and left us in a really bad situation, but they're still our family member. How do we address that? So I think this podcast does a good job with really getting into the nuance of that. But at times I did struggle with the pacing when it got a little too into the weeds. But overall, I think, this was kind of like blending. It was like a mashup of true crime and family memoir and, looking at something later more as a reflection as opposed to a whodunit. And I think, there's a question of like, does loving somebody mean defending what they did? Is that something totally separate? I don't know. But I think the daughters in this are really the heart of the story. And, they tell their stories. And I think that was really interesting. So mild thumbs up.
Toby Ball, thumbs up or thumbs down for Deep Cover, The Family Man?
Yeah, I guess I'm a mild thumbs up too. I was somewhere in between mild thumbs up and thumbs sideways. I think there are parts of this that are pretty interesting. I think it's another one of those shows where I kind of felt like you got a lot from reading in between the lines of some of these interviews, like the way different people characterize their actions or their relationships or their perceptions of things seemed like somewhat more insightful than the actual stories they were telling, which I thought was pretty interesting. The story itself, the actual crime part of the story, whatever. It's like a moderately successful bank robber who eventually gets busted. I don't think that's a spoiler. But as Laura was saying, it's really about sort of the fallout for the family. It was kind of interesting. I mean, I could see the person who, when you're pitching this, it sounds like a great, like, sort of IP thing to make a TV show out of, was the way I was thinking about it. So anyway, I like Jake. I as a narrator, as an interviewer, I think the writing sometimes doesn't quite work for me. It kind of is a little all over the place, because at times, like, he's trying to inhabit somebody's voice and be like, and they were like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then a couple of sentences later, it's like this like purple literary prose that doesn't quite work for me. But otherwise, I think he does a good job. That all adds up to a mild thumbs up.
Kevin Flynn.
I'm also a mild thumbs up on this. I did like it. It was dark at times. It's not supposed to be a bank robbery procedural and a sort of how-to on how a bandit got away with robbing a dozen banks. It really is more a look at the human drama behind it and the fallout, which is something we don't usually look really deeply into, and that's sort of what all of these episodes are about. I thought Jake did a good job keeping his eye on the prize. That's what he wanted for this story to be about, and not sort of about like whether or not, he's a mediocre bank robber. The hook was, I'm doing it for my kids. I think he could have pushed back a little bit in these interviews about how much of it really was for his kids. I mean, he's had like 2 decades to sort of rationalize it, and I would have liked him pulling a little more of that out of it. But it's at times a little slow and a little dry. But, if you're sort of interested more in sort of what makes people tick and the effects sometimes the tragic consequences of these kinds of decisions. It's a good look that way. So the pacing's different. I think there could have been, some other places where we could have gone for better character development and enlightenment, but all in all, it was really well done. So I'm a mild thumbs up.
I'm a thumb sideways on this, only because you guys made it sound way better than I thought it was when I was listening to it. I really like Jake Halpern. We did another podcast that he hosted, right? At least one other one. And I remember liking him in that too. I am really confounded by the editorial choices that they make at Pushkin. We've had like a several season podcast about Malibu. We have this show about sort of the family fallout of kind of like a mediocre crime in terms of like its drama or its, impact and all that stuff. And, it hinges on a guy saying, as you said, Kevin, I did it for my family. Well, who wouldn't say that about a crime they committed? Like, who wouldn't say that? Like, everybody would say that. I also found the podcast to be, dare I say, ponderous. It was quite slow. It didn't have the kind of writing and editing where I couldn't wait to listen to the next episode, which I think if you have a story like this that's not traditional, that doesn't have cliffhangers, that doesn't have hooks, that is like a little deeper, more personal story, which I don't dislike those kinds of stories. I think I clearly do. There should be a reason for me to really want to hit play on the next episode. And I didn't have that at all in this podcast. So I found myself wondering what was the pitch? And as Toby said, was it sort of a means to an end to do something different with this project than what we got, to have it be a season of Blackbird or something? Like, who knows? But I didn't really love it. Like, it was fine. It sounded really good. Pushkin podcast, for the most part, sound good. They're well produced. They're well edited. Jake is a good host. But why are we listening to this story, which to me is less interesting than a similar story you could tell about a much more interesting set of people? And this isn't to like insult the personal stories of everyone in the world. All of their personal stories are interesting to some extent. But what is the larger takeaway here that I'm supposed to get? Oh, this guy got caught and here's what happened. And it didn't say anything bigger about families. It didn't say anything bigger about crime. It didn't say anything bigger about the criminal legal system. It was just a white guy who actually got a fairly light consequence for something that, was a pretty bad crime. And of course, his daughters ended up paying the price. So I don't know. I didn't love it. So I'm giving it a thumb sideways. And I was going to be mild thumbs down, but I have to say I got some redeeming qualities when I heard all of your reviews, especially Laura, who I think made it sound way better than I thought it was. And it left me wonder if I was missing something. So I can't say don't listen to it. I'll say give it a try, hence my thumbs sideways. All right, now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, a little something I like to call the Crime of the Week. Move over, Travis and Taylor. Russia is celebrating its own celebrity wedding between two robots. At a ceremony in Moscow, the humanoid robots named Robert and Matilda exchanged vows generated by AI. The groom wore a gray business suit and red tie. The bride had a ballerina's dress, white gloves, and a veil. The couple exchanged wedding bracelets, which were brought to them by Dogmatic, the robot dog. But these nuptials are an arranged marriage. Really? The event was the creation of a Russian robotics company that wants to demonstrate the many things humanoid automatons can do. Based on what we've seen on social media, robots seem to be good at falling down and accidentally kicking someone in the nuts when they're dancing. We don't know where Robert and Matilda spent their honeymoon, but hopefully it was someplace they could recharge and interface with one another. So panel, young mechanical love is in the air. What do you give robots for a wedding gift? Laura Bricker.
How about an extended warranty and a can of WD-40 for their honeymoon?
That's not bad. What do you think,
Damn
Toby?
It, Bricker. Jesus Christ.
Again? Again? It happened.
Well, I didn't have the warranty. I just had the WD-40.
Oh.
Fucking
what about you?
Fondue set.
What do you think, Kevin?
His and her USB rechargeable ports.
With an extension cord.
Extension cord. And candlesticks make for a nice gift, too.
Yeah, and a mute button for her, because girls, they yap.
They yap.
All right. Before we go, Laura Bricker, I got to ask you a question. Do we have a cat of the week this week?
We do. This is actually a sweet little dog. And this is a few weeks past due, but I think of all the dogs on the Independence Day, 4th of July fireworks, which were especially boisterous this year. Jennifer Little McCord sent a very sweet picture of her dog, Maddie, for Cat of the Week. She is terrified of fireworks and is being a good sport about us trying dog noise cancellation headphones.
Oh.
You can see by her eyes how much she loves them.
Yes. Psycho eyes, yes.
I love that. I love that. All right, Laura Bricker, folks want to reach out to you and share an image of their animal doing something wacky. Could be any kind of animal to be cat of the week. How can they find you online?
You can find me at Laura Bricker on Instagram and Blue Sky.
What about you, Toby? How can you be found online so folks can see your Spanish adventures?
At TobyBall603 on Instagram.
What about you, Kevin?
I'm at Kevin P. Flynn.
You can follow me everywhere, including on X, believe it or not, at Reb Lavoie. Follow the show everywhere at Crime Writers On, but mostly join our Facebook group. It's rad. Get episodes early and ad-free and everything else we make at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia. Our theme song was composed and performed by Tyler Gibbons, and our editor is the terrific Kevin Flynn. He's also our EP, by the way. This show was recorded in Studio C, The Closet, in our New Hampshire basement, where we also let our children think we're building swing sets while we're really off robbing banks. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later. Can I just reveal a secret to Laura and Toby that you often do on my notes? Kevin is a really good illustrator. This thing you don't know about him, and he will often draw a picture on my notes, and that is his little noir cartoon of
Boonie Hat Bandit.
The Boonie Hat Bandit.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll come on here and he will have drawn something like really beautifully drawn something super inappropriate. Like if we review Maximum Pleasure Guaranteed, I'll open this thing and there'll be a surprise drawing of a clitoris or something. That's the kind of stuff he does. So
Kevin.
That doesn't sound like Kevin at all.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I think during the one
lack of proof, no evidence of that.
You've done some really inappropriate drawings when I've opened these things up.
Yeah, I like to make
some
you
really
laugh.
dark reviews. All right.
Keep on your toes, Rebecca.
Partners in Crime Media.
With the Capital One Saver Card, you'll earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining, entertainment, and at grocery stores. And for a limited time, new card members can earn a $250 cash bonus after spending $500 on purchases within the first 3 months. So grab a bite, grab a seat, and earn unlimited 3% cash back with the Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/saver for details.